think it's Rusty who's going to have the... Okay, concerning Revelation chapter 8, verse 3, 4, 3 and 4.
And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all the saints unto the golden altar which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense, which came with the prayers of the saints, ascended up before God out of the angel's hand.
Okay. Who do we say that another angel was?
Jesus.
Okay. So when we look at the tabernacle, right? And I'll tell you what, let me draw it differently than this. We'll put the tabernacle inside the courtyard there. Okay, so you got the most holy place here, the holy place here, table of showbread, altar of incense. Here I'll put an A for that. Ark of the Covenant, the lampstand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So make sure to get them all in there. And we said that this represents Christ's
ministry on the earth.
ministry on earth, right? The courtyard does. And then this, his ministry
In heaven.
from when he ascended, right?
To the close of probation, right?
No,
No.
yes.
Yeah.
To 1844. And we said this line right here, right? The veil represents 1844 when Jesus then went into the most holy place. And this, of course, is the pre-advent, before second coming judgment.
Till
Until the
second
close of
coming.
probation.
Second coming.
Till the close of probation, right? Yeah. So we have that.
I got a question.
Okay.
Was the high priest in the old tabernacle here on earth, he was the only one that was allowed to touch that, to get that incense, to take inside.
Right, right.
Because
To
if he
go
didn't
in,
do that,
to go into here, you're saying?
if he didn't do that, he would be killed.
Right, right. Exactly right. And Leviticus chapter 16 talks about the Day of Atonement. The Day of Atonement is when the high priest went into the most holy place one day a year, and he had to have the censer, and he, right, put incense on there, and he went in there, and the cloud was supposed to cover the brightness, the Shekinah glory. Shekinah means glory, kind of a representation of God's presence.
And he go in there with the censer in one hand and the incense in the other. And once he went in there, he put the incense in the censer.
Let's go to Leviticus 16 and read it there. I think you're right about that. It does appear that way to me too, that he goes in first and then puts the incense on the censer.
16.
I'm starting there in verse 1. Now the Lord spoke to Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron, when they offered profane fire before the Lord and died. And the Lord said to Moses, tell Aaron your brother not to come at just any time into the holy place inside the veil, in other words, the most holy place, before the mercy seat which is on the ark, lest he die, for I will appear in the cloud above the mercy seat. Thus Aaron shall come into the holy place. Now, the New King James adds place there. What does the King James have in there?
Holy place. But it has it italicized.
Okay, it does the same thing. What does NIV have?
Verse 2, it actually has the most holy place.
Yeah, and that's a better
Most holy
translation.
place on the capital.
You know, I rarely will I say that about, you know, you got it, Neil, you nailed it. The NIV's got a better translation for that word. It is most holy place, right? And the NIV uses most holy place.
Oh, Leviticus 16, 2 and 3.
Aaron shall come into the most holy place with the blood of the young bull as a sin offering, and a ram and a burnt offering, as a burnt offering. He shall put the holy linen tunic and the linen trousers on his body. He shall be girded with a linen sash, and with a linen turban he shall be attired. These are holy garments. Therefore he shall wash his body in water and put them on. He shall take from the congregation of the children of Israel 2 kids of the goats as a sin offering, and 1 ram as burnt offering. Aaron shall offer the bull as a sin offering, which is for himself, and make atonement for himself and for his house. He shall take the 2 goats and present them before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. Then Aaron shall cast lots for the 2 goats, 1 lot for the Lord, and the other lot for the scapegoat. All right, so what happened to these 2 goats?
One was sent to the wilderness and one was.
Which one?
The scapegoat.
The scapegoat.
Okay, so what does the scapegoat represent?
Satan.
Satan, okay? You know, if we just let the Bible speak for itself, it's pretty clear. One is the Lord's and one is the scapegoat, so the scapegoat has to be Satan. Okay, and it goes on to say, and Aaron shall bring the goat on which the Lord's lot fell, offered as a sin offering. The goat on which the lot fell with the scapegoat shall be presented alive before the Lord to make atonement upon it, and let it go as the scapegoat into the wilderness. This represents Satan's time on the earth during the millennium,
1,000 years.
during the 1,000 years, right?
Okay.
You know, it's really interesting how this all pointed forward to a time that's even ahead of us, where Christ, when he comes again, he's gonna, all the sins have been cleansed from the heavenly sanctuary. He's gonna put on the head of Satan. He's the scapegoat. He's gonna be on this earth, which has been obliterated, no people alive on it during the millennium, right? It's the wilderness. So this represents that period of time. Aaron shall bring the bull, the sin offering, which is for himself, and make an atonement for himself, for his house. Shall kill the bull as a sin offering, which is for himself. He shall take a censer full of burning coals of fire from the altar before the Lord. That's the altar of burnt offering, right? I mean, no, or is that the altar of incense? Which altar is that?
It should be the altar burnt offering, because you wouldn't have an offering on the altar of incense, right?
No, but it says, he shall take a censer full of burning coals of fire from the altar before the Lord. Altar of incense, right. It's the one that's right before the veil here. It's this one. He takes coals from that one.
Pastor, it says his hands are full of sweet incense. Like both hands, it's holding the incense.
And bring it inside the veil.
Mhm.
He shall put the incense on the fire before the Lord, that the cloud of incense may cover the mercy seat that is on the testimony lest he die. So he's got a censer. It almost sounds like he takes the censer in, sets it down, comes out and gets the incense, because he's got 2 hands full, because it's his hands, goes back in, and he dumps it on the censer, and it fills up that area of the tabernacle with smoke. Right?
My opinion, he would be, he put that incense as he goes through that curtain. In
Well,
that,
yeah.
in that fire.
That seems logical to me too. He shall take a censer full of burning coals of fire from the altar before the Lord, with his hands full of sweet incense. I guess you could carry it, right, the censer, maybe on his arm, and still have his hands full of incense, right? Putting it on as he goes in, right?
But then you also have to get blood somehow.
So he's not really able to be able to see the mercy seat at all.
Well, it's supposed to hide the cloud. The cloud of incense may cover the mercy seat, right? Lest he die. It's supposed to kind of hide God's presence, right? And fortunately, when Jesus, of course, he represents Christ. When Christ, as our real high priest, went into the most holy place, he didn't have to do that because he was sinless, right?
He's also God, so he's not going to be torn away by God's presence because he is God.
Yeah, but if he would have sinned, he would have been destroyed, right? He had the opportunity. He could have sinned, but he didn't sin, right? And there was an option there. Christ could have done that. He didn't. That's
How about if there's incense already burning in the altar of incense?
Yeah,
It goes up and over the curtain.
I think so.
And then he puts it on the censer.
There you go. Yeah, I think Vincent's right. You already had incense burning on this, and this veil did not go all the way to the top. Like you said, there's an opening at the top that allowed the incense to go over the veil. So I think you already had some incense cloud in there, and then with the censers, it definitely made it difficult to see the mercy seat.
Then did he have to come back out and get the, because he had to get the blood.
He had to come back out, right?
How about,
Remember, he had to do it, he had to go in for himself and his family, come out, and then go back in for the sins of the congregation of Israel. Had to do that.
in chapter 5, verse 8,
What's it say?
it says, "And we had taken the book, the four beasts, and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odor, which are the prayers of the saints."
Yeah. So that's what it represents, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right. We looked at a couple of different verses about this last time. When you looked at Psalms 141, remember how we looked at that? I think it's verse 2.
Let my prayer be set before you as incense, the lifting up of my hands as the evening sacrifice.
So we have that same thought, don't we, as Revelation chapter 5, verse 8. So the smoke of the incense with the prayers of the saints ascended before God from the angel's hands. So we know that this angel isn't just a created being. This is our intercessor. This is, we went through this detail last time, right? We looked up all the verses about how Christ is our intercessor and high priest in the heavenly sanctuary. Throw one verse out that says he's our high priest.
We have such a high priest who is such a great father. Christ Jesus, our intercessor.
I like the paraphrase you did there, Bill.
That's the Bill paraphrase.
That's the Bill paraphrase. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah. What about, can y'all throw a verse out from last time? This is the test.
Romans 8:27.
Okay, what's it say there? Romans 8:27 mentions this thing called intercession, doesn't it? What's it say in Romans 8:27?
And he that searcheth the hearts knoweth what is the mind of the Spirit, because he maketh intercession for the saints according to the will of God.
Okay, so we definitely have, and we have Hebrews 7:25, right? Hebrews 7:25 also mentions how he intercedes for us. I love Hebrews 7:25.
For he is able to save completely, that is to come to God through him, because he always lives to intercede for them.
You know, the word completely there in the NIV is uttermost in the King James. So I like to say, if he's able to save from the guttermost to the uttermost. I think that's pretty neat. So, where's the verse that says he's our high priest?
Peter,
Hebrews 4:15, is that?
Okay, let's go to Hebrews 4. That's a good place. It's multiple times in the book of Hebrews.
And 8:1. you
That's
said.
exactly right. What's Hebrews 4:15 say?
for we have not a high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin.
So I think it's pretty clear that the only person who can intercede for us with the prayers, right? This another angel is representing Christ. And we looked into other verses too that showed how sometimes Christ is called angel in the Bible. Angel just means messenger, right? It doesn't mean created being. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, right? The basic meaning is messenger. And so we have Jesus as this another angel in Revelation chapter 8, verses 3 and 4. He's the one doing this. And he casts the censer to the earth, and we discussed, what does it mean by casting the censer to the earth?
Casting what?
The censer to the earth?
Oh, that's when, after he's finished, and he throws it down.
Okay,
He doesn't need to, he's not gonna stand in for us. That's the end of his
So-
job.
where in Revelation 8 is Christ in verses 3 and 4? Where is he at? Is he here or is he here?
He's
It looks like he's
holy
going
place.
into the most holy.
He's holy
place.
in the holy.
He's getting ready to go in.
Okay, so he's here, right, in the holy place in Revelation 8, 3 and 4. So he doesn't end his intercession. In other words, the close of probation doesn't take place until he's in here, right?
Well, when he throws that down though, it says he doesn't put incense in it. That's when there's no incense in it. He throws it down and it has no incense in it.
Okay, so Sister Wanda is suggesting that throwing the censer down means he's not interceding for us anymore. Right? So that would mean the close of probation. Okay? It appears to me,
But it says he took the censer, filled it with fire, and then cast it into the earth.
Without the
In verse
incense.
5. But he filled it with fire, not incense. So he just
Not
had coals in
incense.
it.
right, so what does it mean when fire is cast to the earth? That's really what we're asking, right?
Yeah.
What does it mean when fire is cast to the earth? Judgment, right? It's a judgment. Don't we have Sodom and Gomorrah? Fire comes down from God out of heaven. And how about whenever the man of God was called by the king of Israel to come and see him, you know, and
Fire came
the
down and burned up.
captain and his 50 men, right? Came down and burned them up. So we have this evidence of fire means judgment, right? So he's casting the fire down. I think what we have here is the beginning of the trumpets is when Christ is in the holy place. Okay? So we're trying to establish timing for the trumpets here by looking at the sanctuary service. When is the high priest, or when was the high priest in front of the altar of incense in the holy place?
The day of atonement.
1844, sorry.
Right? Not in the, he's in front of this every day.
Right.
It's an everyday event. It's not a one time a year.
So your question is, when does he go into the most holy?
No, the question is, in Revelation 8, 3 and 4, where is this another angel located in the heavenly sanctuary?
In the holy.
He's,
He's here,
in front of
right?
the altar of incense.
Okay, so I'm saying that then it talks about the sounding of the trumpets. So I'm suggesting that this is telling us the timing of the trumpets. It starts whenever the intercessor, Christ, is still in the holy place. That's the start of the trumpets. Okay? Does that seem clear, or what do you think? Vincent, we okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
Okay, you're okay with that. That's good. All right? So, I'm just trying to put bookends now on the trumpets. There seems to be some controversy about the trumpets, you know, especially within the Adventist church. So the timing of it is very important. We're looking at when does this take place, Revelation 8, 3 and 4. It takes place while he's in the holy place. So it can't be after 1844 when the trumpets start. Right? It has to be before 1844. So can we, is everybody okay with me saying that the trumpets start prior to 1844? Because this, another angel in Revelation 8, 3 and 4 is still in the holy place.
So are we talking, my timeline is very confused right now.
Okay.
So this, what we're reading, you're saying it's happening before 1844. So
Right.
this isn't end times, because I was confused.
Right,
I'm thinking this
right,
is end times.
right.
It's not.
Right. Because the
Okay.
book of Revelation covers all down through history, not
Right.
just in time.
Right.
Right? We think Revelation end time, but it covers all down through history too.
Okay.
Chris?
I think what could probably help at least establish one of the bookends is book chapter or verse 19. And that's where it says, "And the temple of God was opened in heaven, and there was seen in this temple the ark of the testament, and there were lightning bolts covering the earth with hail." And so we see the opening into the most holy place. So that establishes one bookend there.
Okay. Okay. Is that associated though with one of the trumpets? That event in
This is
1119?
the seventh trumpet.
Okay. Notice what it says in Revelation chapter 10 about the seventh trumpet. Okay? If somebody can scan that right fast, because I don't remember the exact verse, it's probably verse 6 or verse 7, somewhere through there. Where does it say something about the seventh trumpet sounding in Revelation chapter 2?
Verse 7, but in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished.
Okay, so let's ask ourselves, what is, oh, wait a second. What is the mystery of God? I better not write anything yet.
It's the gospel.
2 other charts.
Gospel.
Oh, it's the
It's
gospel.
the gospel.
Well, let's have a verse. I love that. Is the mystery of God the gospel? Is that what it is?
Gospel.
Paul writes it, I know that.
Okay, give us a verse.
Verse written down there.
Yeah. Is it Colossians?
Colossians.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. I think we could do a couple of different verses in the New Testament, right? You have your Blue Letter Bibles, right? Put in mystery of God, and let's see how many verses pop up, right? Mystery of God.
State.
Okay.
Colossians 1:27.
Colossians 1:27.
Or Colossians 2:2.
Let's
or
do
3.
let's do both. I think we have time. Colossians 1:27. What does it say?
To them God willed to make known what are the riches of the glory of this mystery among the Gentiles, which is Christ in you, the hope of the glory.
What is the mystery of God?
The riches of
Hope of glory?
Christ in you.
Christ in you.
Oh, yes.
Christ in you is the hope of glory. The mystery of God is Christ in you. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that the gospel? We don't have to rely upon our own goodness or our own good works. It's we invite Christ in us, and He changes us. It's His good works. It's His righteousness. He's the one who makes us worthy to be able to enter into the gates of heaven. Isn't that cool? I love the gospel is called the mystery of God in the Bible. Right? So, let's go back to Revelation 10 verse 7. What's it say again? Let's be careful about the wording here. Let's listen to the words.
But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished, as he hath declared to his servants the prophets.
So, what do we call when the mystery of God is finished? What do we, close of probation. So you see how the sounding of the seventh trumpet is associated with the close of probation. You see that? Isn't that cool? Don't we have the bookends? Isn't that awesome? We have, it starts sometime prior to 1844 and it ends at the close of probation. Isn't that cool?
This is
Because
at
you
the
won't be able
beginning
to
of the
accept him,
sounding, though.
right?
Yeah, because
That's what
after the
that's
close of
saying.
probation, nobody's going to want to accept
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
because when it says the mystery of God will be finished, that means, enter into more hearts.
That's exactly right. No other hearts would allow him to come in. It's not that he arbitrarily says, oh, you're lost and you're saved. It's that everybody makes their decision that's on the earth at that time. Chris?
I think it should be noteworthy of mentioning that is that the beginning of the sounding, meaning it's not after the seventh trumpet. It's at the beginning when it's just starting to sound, when it's sounding, is when the mystery is finished. It's not at the completion. It's still sounding. It's at the very beginning. So it's like we're at the last tick just before midnight, you know, before the new day starts. You're right at the end, but you're not there. It's not finished yet.
So I get the impression that the sounding of the trumpet takes place and then the close of probation. You know, they're really back to back. Did you get that impression?
I'm impressed that it's right at the end is when there's going to be this, when the mystery will be finished. And the world will know the complete, plan of salvation, the understanding of God's mission from the beginning, the end, and the in-between has all been the same. It's been the sanctification of mankind to be reconciled and reunited with God. And at the end, there will be, because we go into chapter 11 with the two witnesses, and then it gives us the context and the background leading into it, reading those messages.
Okay.
So at
Yeah.
the very end, there will be this special dispensation of the truth.
Okay.
At the fullness of the plan of salvation.
So can we look at the seven trumpets then as it's starting sometime before 1844 because he's in the holy place. It's ending sometime after 1844 associated with the close of probation. And what I think is neat about this is the seven trumpets appears to be judgments against the enemy of God's people on this earth before the close of probation, and the seven last plagues is judgments against the enemy of God's people on this earth after the close of probation. You see how there is a connection there. Both deal with judgments, but the dividing line is the close of probation.
Pastor, when he throws that censer down without the incense in it, it seemed like that's when it's the end of his intercession. And he goes into the most holy at that time.
You mean at the
Because it says that,
But you know, he is interceding for us. He's in the most holy place now. And he is interceding for us.
right,
So intercession didn't stop, in 1844.
so what's the significance of him throwing it down and it said thunder and
It's-
lightning and everything happened?
It's throwing the fire down to the earth. It means
Yeah.
judgments.
Yeah,
Right, so you have the judgment against the enemies of God's people, against the church, all down through time. And I think you have these seven trumpets. Let's look at the statue of Daniel 2. That's why I left room on the right side here. Okay. So you have, you guys help me out here. Head of gold, chest and arms of silver, belly and thighs of
brass or
bronze, right, or brass in the King James, legs of iron,
bronze.
right? Then you got the feet of iron clay, stone. Okay, so tell me, what does the head of gold represent?
Babylon.
Okay. And chest and arms of silver?
Medes and Persians.
Persians.
All right, Medes and Persians.
The
Belly and thigh of bronze,
Greek,
legs of iron,
Rome.
Rome. Pagan Rome.
okay. So we'll say, Steve mentioned pagan Rome. Give me the times, the dates.
605.
605 BC to
539.
539 BC, all right? 539 BC to, who said it?
331.
Okay, great. 331 BC to 168. 168 BC to 476 AD. Okay? All right. So, as we go over and we look then at Daniel chapter 7, I'm running out of room here. Let's see. Daniel chapter 7, Babylon is represented by what animal?
Lion,
Lion,
With eagle's wings.
Bear.
bear,
bear, it's the Medes and the Persians.
leopard,
We got a leopard, so I can remember how to spell
the
it.
beast.
Great beast.
Now we have this going on, don't we? You notice in Daniel 2, it's legs of iron, there's two legs, east and west, right? But notice this. In Daniel chapter 7, we have
Terrible beast.
a terrible beast here. and that represents pagan Rome. But what's the next one?
Little horn.
Representing
Papal.
Papal Rome. Okay, Papal Rome. Now I'll give you the dates for Papal Rome.
538.
To 1798.
Excellent. So what I think is interesting about when you look at this, and you're talking about the trumpets, right? When did Jesus ascend to the holy place?
Right
What
after he
year?
went to heaven.
30,
What year?
37,
17.
no, 33.
34, 35, 36.
Well, you guys are really close. 31? 31.
31.
Okay.
I thought he was here longer than that.
Yeah, you know, his public ministry started in 27 AD. He was here 3.5 years. It was 31 AD when he was crucified. So, where did he go when he ascended? You know, this earthly ministry, now he's ascending into the heavenly holy place, right? And we say that's 31 AD. And now I want you to notice something here. This is very important. Notice what it says in Hebrews chapter 9, verse 12. Hebrews 9 is a great chapter. You know, I've been thinking that after we finish the book of Revelation, instead of going back to Daniel, I want to just go through the book of Hebrews in detail. What's it say in verse 12? Wait a second. Don't read, don't, let's see.
Chapter 9, verse 12.
Read New King James Version first. Yeah, 9:12 Hebrews. 9:12. What's it say? What do you, listen to what version you got.
Not with the blood of goats and calves, but with his own blood he entered the most holy place, once for all, having obtained eternal redemption.
What version do you have?
New King James.
Well, I don't like
It
that.
said most holy place. But
It says most holy place.
Because-
Robert, I don't like it.
It says holy place in
My
12.
Bible says
I
holy
mean, in
place.
King James.
What does it say?
It's holy place,
Well, wait a second here. King James says what?
holy place.
And New King James says what?
Most holy.
And I
That's
say
a-
most holy place.
And I mean, he's got most holy too. You know? So we have a problem here, don't we? I mean, it makes a big difference because this involves timing. If he ascended from earth into the most holy place, it destroys this idea of 1844 and the 2300 years, right?
Wait on him.
Yeah. Do you see how the newer translations are substituting, instead of holy place in the King James, they use now most holy place? Because it destroys this idea of the 2300 year prophecy. Do you see that? Do you see that? Yeah. We got to be careful. Okay. Let's see.
It just in the Blue Letter Bible, it just is holy place. No, there's no extra most there.
You look at the Greek.
Yeah, in the
Notice, notice what, let's look at the Greek, because the Greek is the same no matter if you look at the NIV or the New King James or the King James, we're using the same Greek here, right? What,
it's Ho Agion, the holy place. That's it. There's no.
I don't know.
This is the Greek. What version? This is the actual Greek.
Agion, right, is the word that's used, and that means holy place. I want you to notice something here, okay? You got your Blue Letter Bibles, right? You looked in Hebrews 9:12, and you looked up most holy place to see what Greek word it was, and it's Hagion. Hagion. It's got a breathing mark in front of it. Hagion. Even though it's an alpha, you got to put an H in front of it, okay? Hagion. Okay? You see that? Everybody agree that 9:12 has one Greek word for, right? Okay. Notice what it says in 9:2 for the word sanctuary in the New King James. Let's read 9:2 in the King James to see what it says there.
In King James.
It's the
or
same
New
word.
King James?
Let's do
It's Hagion.
King James first.
King James.
It's Hagion.
What word did they translate Hagion in verse 2, the same chapter? What word did they? Sanctuary. You see that? They didn't say most holy place there, because it wouldn't make any sense.
This is tabernacle.
And that's where the
Is
table
what?
of showbread, the
Tabernacle.
candlestick is. That's where the table of showbread and the
Oh, no,
candlestick.
sanctuary.
It's in the last verse.
So this is saying the table of showbread and the.
What does the King James
candlestick.
say in 9:2?
And
What does it say?
well, there was a tabernacle made the first, wherein was a candlestick, and the table, and the showbread, which is called the sanctuary.
You notice all the translations use the same word in 9:2, sanctuary. Even what does yours say?
I've got New American Standard Bible.
Okay.
It says holy place.
Oh, okay, great.
NIV calls it the holy place.
Also, on
Oh.
the Amplified Bible, I've got a holy place.
Excellent, and that's the correct translation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's only Hagion. Hagion, right? Hagion is one Greek word. It's the exact same Greek word in 9:2 as used in 9:12. And in 9:2 it's translated holy place, but 9:12 they translated most holy place. Do you see how we have to be careful about this?
I see that somebody knew
Yeah,
the truth,
right,
Trying to
Didn't want
deceive the people.
right,
didn't want it to be known.
yeah. So are we making sense about this? Anybody got any questions? You know, because we're talking about the Greek and we're looking at two different verses. The same Greek word is translated.
How did you find the Greek in the Blue Letter Bible? The interpretation.
So like Hebrews 9:2, you just click anywhere in the second verse, and then the
Okay.
very top one where it says interlinear concordance,
Yes.
Do you see interlinear?
Oh, I see. And then it breaks it up.
and then that pulls it up, and then you just scroll down like
Thank you,
there at the
Bill.
very end.
I had not figured out how y'all were doing that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
right. But we know, I mean, there's plenty of information there. I mean, there's not a perfect translation, right? There's not a perfect translation. So what we do is we compare the different translations, and we look at the Greek, and we see that somebody made a mistake, either on purpose or by accident, in Hebrews 9:12.
No way.
You see
it was
that?
on accident. No
There was
way.
only 10 verses between the mistakes.
Yeah, there's only 10 verses between the
Just
two.
saying.
Yeah, and it's the exact same Greek word.
Yeah, there's no way it was a
Yeah.
mistake. There's no way it was
Exactly.
accident
Chris.
in it.
To your knowledge, though, does the King James Version ever have an error that would cause a contradiction in doctrine, or just grammatical error, you know,
What was a
punctuation?
recent one you
Were
just?
there errors or, mistranslation?
You know, the problem isn't a mistranslation, except for Acts chapter 4. They make a big mistake in Acts chapter 4 in the King James. And if you notice what it says there, is it okay to go down a rabbit trail? Okay.
Acts chapter 4 verse what?
What it means.
All right. I'm trying to remember the exact verse here. Find the verse in Acts chapter 4 that says Easter in the King James. You see that?
Didn't think it was about it.
All right, I'm gonna have to.
And then show up in the New King James.
It doesn't say Easter in the New King
It's
James.
12:4.
12. Oh, it's 12:4.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking 4:12. Okay.
Acts
So
12:4.
Acts 12:4. That's where it says Easter.
Yes.
Okay, notice the King James here. Look at the verse 12:4. It says, "So when he had arrested him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 squads of soldiers to keep him, intending to bring him before the people after
Passover.
Passover." But the King James says
Easter.
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 That's where the King James made a mistake. They put Easter in place of Passover. The Greek word is Passover.
It says that they use this word, the Greek word, 28 times for Passover, and only once is it ever translated to Easter.
Only once, and it's right here. I don't know why they did that, but that's a mistake the King James people made. So here's the problem with the King James today. It's a great formal translation. You understand the meaning of the words from 1768, okay? I'll give you an example. Look in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. Notice what it says in verse 15. Now we know verse 16, right? The Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a sound, the voice of the archangel, the trumpet of God, and dead in Christ shall rise first. An awesome verse. I love it, right? Notice verse 15.
For this we say to you, by the word of the Lord, that we who are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord will by no means...
Okay, don't read it yet. Let's read it in the King James. Okay, you're right on track, Wanda. Somebody read the King James.
For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep.
Okay,
That was King James.
prevent.
And proceed.
Notice in the New King James it says, what does it say in the NIV?
Proceed.
Instead of prevent.
Will certainly not proceed those.
Proceed, okay.
Proceed is right.
You see, these two translations are right. Okay, but in our language today, prevent means hold back.
Yeah.
But in 1768 it means proceed. You see how it's the meaning of the word changed. It's not that the King James people made a mistake or it's a bad translation. It's just that the word changed between 1768 and our time. You see, it says prevent in the King James, but it says proceed in the New King James, right? And it really means proceed, because prevent in our thinking means hold back, not proceed. So what does the verse mean there?
It means that the dead will go up ahead of us, and then we'll go up.
Right. So that's the reason why I use the New King James, because it's using our language, right? King James is a great formal translation, and of course it's easier to memorize, right? The way that I think
The rhythm.
yeah, the rhythm of it. They did a wonderful job of translating it. You know, I read a book about all the different groups that were translating different parts of it, bringing it together. And, you know, it's just they did a beautiful job. Of course, they were human beings, and you know, there's not a perfect translation. That's why they put Easter in there in 12:4, and it should have been Passover, right? And so notice. I like the King James in some verses because it's the only one I know of that did it right. I'll give you an example. The only one I know of that did it right. Maybe you guys can correct me with your translations here, okay? Look in Psalms. (146) verse 4. Let's read the King James.
His breath goes forth, he returneth to his earth, and in that very day his thoughts perish.
What happened? What perishes when he dies?
His thoughts.
Okay, what do your other translations say?
Plans.
Plans. You see how, we can't say thoughts. We have to say plans. Because if we say thoughts, then it means they're asleep in the grave awaiting a resurrection. So we got to change it to plans. Right? So spiritualism gets a foothold there. King James is the only one I know of that uses thoughts. And thoughts is the right translation for it. You see that? Rhonda.
Also, with spirit, it's better if they say breath, you know?
Yeah. That's another good point. Right. So, the King James is the only one I know of that does it right in that verse. And I use that verse only in the King James when I'm showing the state of the dead, because the other translations, they want to manipulate it a little bit, right? Help it out according to their, yeah, exactly, right? Okay, so we're coming back from the rabbit trail, if that's okay. Any other questions about Bible translation? All right. I wanted you to see, whenever you're talking to people who know their Bibles, and you say Jesus went into the most holy place in 1844, they're going to say, what about Hebrews 9:12? And you're going to say, well, they misinterpreted or translated the Greek word there. And you can show them from your blue letter Bible, right? That Greek word, when it's most holy, it's hagion. You'll see two Greek words for most holy. Two Greek words. But when there's only one Greek word, it's only holy place. Okay? So don't be deceived if somebody throws out Hebrews 9:12 at you, right? You're going to be prepared. You're going to have a little smile come across your face, you know. And let's look at Hebrews 9:2 and see what Greek word they use. And how they translate it there. They didn't say most holy place there, did they? Because it doesn't mean that. Okay. All right, so the reason why I'm bringing that up is we want to make sure it all involves the timing of the trumpets, right? We're saying 1844 he goes into the most holy place. Notice, when did he ascend here?
3180.
Steve knows that one. When did he ascend into the holy place?
31.
31. You got 31 AD, he ascends into the holy place, right? We can clearly show that by using the prophecy from Daniel chapter 9. One of my favorite studies in the Bible. All atheists come and see this study because it will blow people away. Why do some Jewish rabbis not want their people to study Daniel chapter 9?
That's right.
Because it tells you the timing of the Messiah. Okay, so 31 AD, he goes into the holy place in the heavenly sanctuary. Where on this chart is 31 AD?
Pagan Rome.
Pagan Rome, okay? So it's right in here, isn't it? 31 AD. All right? So if the stone represents, let's see, the second coming. The second coming is the stone cut out without hands, right? So that means it's this period of time we're talking about right here. This period of time that the 7 trumpets are sounding. That period of time. From 31 AD, right, till the close of probation. It's that period of time, and it's about judgments against enemies of the church on this earth. That's what the 7 trumpets is about. Okay?
What did it say here? A judgment first come in the house.
Yeah. Okay. Judgment you can take the way we understand the English word of judgment, right? It can mean a couple of different things. One is the judge can judge in your favor, right? Or judgment was poured out upon that group. So in this case, judgment means it's something poured out upon the enemies of God's people on this earth, His church. Okay? So when the 7 trumpets are talked about, notice the period of time we're talking about here. And I want you to see something. I'm going to erase this line right here. Okay? And I'm going to erase this line. And I'm going to erase that line. Alright? So notice the Bible says there's going to be a resurrection of the papacy. That's Revelation chapter 13. Okay? And we put a date of 1929 there because that's when the Vatican was established by Mussolini's treaty called the Lateran Treaty with the Pope, right? With the Roman Catholic Church. So in 1929, the papacy's power and influence over the politicians and political sphere of this earth starts growing from 1929 until we have it today. Okay? So you can see, yes, the trumpets are poured out upon pagan Rome, right? But they're also poured out upon papal Rome. So we could say the 7 trumpets are against pagan and papal Rome. Any questions about that? When you use Daniel chapter 2, who gives us the overall prophecy, right, framework for prophecy, when you can't go outside this framework. When you do, then you're on dangerous territory. You're making it up, right? You use the framework, we understand. Pagan Rome and papal Rome is receiving the judgments poured out by these 7 trumpets. Okay? Yeah, brother?
I've been watching things on YouTube with the Israel thing, and all these like Sunday preachers talk about the Antichrist and some of the stuff that they come up with, going outside of what that says.
Right, exactly.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. They've all bought into the idea of, yeah, John Nelson Darby's dispensationalism. They bought into this idea, right? 7-year tribulation, Antichrist, covenant with Israel, all that. And it's sad that they've done that.
And he came from a dream of Martha McDonald.
Yeah.
You said the red heifer was already living.
Yeah, already living. Right. Right. And so even though they had started, they didn't break ground yet on the new temple, have they? I wonder how old that heifer's gonna be. But you know, it's a distraction. It's the devil trying to get you off of this. Christ as our high priest in the heavenly sanctuary and what he's doing. That should be the central focus of our understanding of end-time prophecy. It's getting it off of Christ as high priest and on a physical location in the Middle East. You see, it's a distraction, it's a deception. Now, are God's people found in all these churches? Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and I think our job as Seventh-day Adventists is to share these truths with them so that they're not deceived. Right? Point them back to the Bible. When they see it from the Bible, they don't have any problem accepting it. They believe the Bible's true, they're just being deceived. Right? Okay. So we've discussed the bookends of the timing of the trumpets, and we looked at the chart to see what the trumpets are being poured out upon, and I think that probably kind of sums up our study for today. Any final questions before we close in prayer? All right. Kayla, what do you think? Okay? All right. How about your sister? You think she's okay too? Okay, you got a thumbs up over there. Excellent. All right. Ian? All right. Okay. Excellent. All right. Any final comments or questions? Father in heaven, we praise you and thank you for showing us these wonderful things from the Bible, giving us the plan of salvation in the sanctuary to help us understand the timing of things in the book of Revelation. It's amazing to me to see how the Bible is put together. We just praise you for that. Help us share these wonderful truths with people in our sphere of influence. Use us so that they won't be deceived. In Jesus' name we thank you. Amen. All right, thanks for coming today.